While I was in high school, I took this college prep course called Avid. I have nothing nice to say about it because it didn't help at all. My school had no budget, so we didn't visit many colleges, and honestly, I'm not impressed with the ones we did go to. We took a trip to CU Springs, and my friend got food poisoned, and they were rude and racist, so fuck them. The teachers tried, but we were a poor school, and that program was clearly meant for affluent kids. Also, my school kind of got its budget hijacked, but that's a different story. However, a side effect was a program I did like that I ended up having to participate in. It was called the Mentor 2.0 program, despite the dumb name. Hi, I have to be careful about that because I'm a weenie. I was just getting into music at the time, especially album listening, so I didn't really have much to go through. I brought this up to my mentor, and he gave me a few albums. 9 by Blink-182, which he liked because of nostalgia. The other was, much to my dismay, The Silver Scream by Ice Nine Kills.
Never stop to think what a wonderful thing sleep is. Dreams are normal too.
Ice Nine Kills are a metalcore act, and they're apparently controversial, though that could range from they sacrifice animals on stage and burn down churches to they couldn't keep their hands to themselves and raped a fetus. Ahem. I'm not gonna bother researching because, quite frankly, I don't need to. The Silver Scream is a concept album where the band creates songs for famous horror icons, from Jigsaw to Pennywise. Honestly, it's pretty good. Keep in mind, he recommended It Is the End in 2018, and I was not listening to much music at the time. I just got into album listening, and besides Slipknot, I was not at all into heavy metal. I did like the album then, but only really in years past as it better sprouted in my head. It's very different. As a concept album of horror icons composed with symphonic metal and soundtrack-esque, I've had time to digest various metalcore albums, and most of them don't really use this symphonic soundtrack sound in their composition, so this stands out a ton. There's the Saw tribute in The Jig Is Up, which I love for the mixture of strings and the running out of time concept in it. It sounds like the last moments, and it's fun and fast paced. There's the most famous It Is the End, which is about Pennywise, but also the entire concept of it, the dread that looms over the town in the book and how it constantly resurfaces to take a victim while the proper adults look away. It goes through a bunch of the horror names from Freddy, Jason, etc. Sadly, no Ginger Dead Man, or Croc. Since I gave this a listen years ago, the only thing I know is that in listening to it in 2018, I ran across a single for the album that was intended for the deluxe edition. Your Numbers Up is a slightly different song on the album. It plays as a duet between the titular main character and the slasher villain.
Who's this?
Soon you'll discover.
I'm sorry, sir, but I think you have the wrong number.
There's a lot I like about this song. I think the vocals are the strongest here because the growls are more unhinged, the harmonies are raspy and gravelly, and the woman's vocals, Sarah Bartholomew. Scream was originally meant to be more comedic, so it's funny hearing this song played so straight. The string works sound great mixed with the metalcore harmonies, the breakdown after the post-chorus is superb. And the lead towards the end is powerful. I stuck this here because, well, the main character dies. I don't recall if this was the last song I listened to on the album, perhaps another single and the cover just caught my eye, but I do recall liking this song a lot more than the others. The Jig Is Up and It Is the End are cartoony and goofy. Your Numbers Up was the first song that actually kind of scared me, especially with the voice acting at the end. You might dismiss that because it is a little goofy, and I won't disagree, but I think the acting is really good. And plus, it's horror, and horror kind of always sits between humor and itself. I love the contrast between the unaware protag versus the psychotic antagonist because of how different they are. The woman talks as if she's not in the song, but she's being composed as if it's musical. and the murderer is in the song, so he doesn't really have to make sense. It's also the truth that despite being a Scream tribute, it doesn't sound like that. It is a fast pace like that movie, but Scream is also very weird and subversive. This sounds more like the opener, if that makes sense. Still, I do love this song. My sister used to watch Scary Movie on the computer, and sometimes I would catch the censored boob scene. My mom got mad at her for that one. That said, I was a squeamish kid, so I thought it was gross and weird until I grew a sense of humor. Paranormal Activity used to terrify me. Even most of the time, they're just filming the goddamn floor. For me, it's mostly the mixture of the hardcore drumming, screams, and the back and forth that got me. Yeah. In the MySpace era, while mainstream music was edgy, annoying, and kinda bad, the indie scene had this neo-swing revival that came from the late 90s, but really stuck around the early social media times. Caravan Palace, The Correspondents, and The Dreadnoughts.
Never alone, never afraid.
Well, technically a lot of those bands came later, but shut up. There was also the polka revival that brewed the rise of Will Wood and the Tapeworms and Schaefer James. The biggest act to come out of the scene, though, were Tally Hall, and no, they are not the subject for this matter. The only album I've heard from them is their experimental art project Hawaii Part 2, which I will say for another day, believe me. I could do Murders, but I'm not for reasons. Through that also came the third wave ska scene from bands like Streetfest Manifesto and Streetlight Manifesto. And you know how the entire late 2000s got oddly theatrical and theater kid coded? All of this combines into this little act, Paper Chase.
And when your lover loves to cheat, there's another you can meet. It's a short pier, it's a long walk.
I don't really know much about them. They have a few albums and they seem to lean towards that Tally Hall fallout. One day I was recommended a pretty solid video about music gatekeeping by NateIsLame, which I later mixed up with a request for Korea. I'll be back for you too, don't worry sweet prince. The video held a pretty different perspective from the usual generic commentary bit, so I checked out his channel and was recommended this album cover. Nice ass. Now You Are One of Us is Paper Chase's 2007 concept album of some hellish afterlife for the narrator. The entire album is spiteful and stinging, and as was the concept of the video, We Know Where You Sleep is, I believe, the second song on the album. It's a theater hall type song with a tin string howling in the background behind strange percussion, pretty ruthless vocals in my opinion, and the confrontational writing of vengeful spirits coming to get this person. The album cover is, well, look at it. A person hung, I think implying erotic asphyxiation, which is a choice. The color grading is bleached and dingy, and the song is fairly sexually atrocious in nature. It implies that the partaker of revenge here is some skittish figure, bony and frail. This is a strange song. I picked it because it sticks out so much, but honestly the other tracks aren't that far off. Interestingly, the track starts with a sample of the infamous Area 51 caller. Not the first song I've seen sample this, but it's a lot more subtle here, and seems to use it more to imply the narrator running out of time rather than the other example, which is a joke. The string work here is somber, with minor notes dragged on, mixed in with these ghostly horror squeals. The lyrics are brilliant. The narrator is this punisher, a demon, who may have a connection to this person. Through the character's confused squeals, the narrator howls of their desire to, well, abuse this person for revenge. Their sins have caught up to them, and we hear the narrator essentially taunt them in their own hell.
'Cause I am prepared to set myself on fire for this.
There are a lot of samples in this song that seem to be about the concept of karma. The vocals are shaky, and the slight echo gives it this harmonial power, as they sing about vindication, taunting this person who is underground at this rate. Despite how dark and sinister the song is, I think as a song, it's probably my favorite on the album. The piano plonks, the guitar wails, and the snipping scissors are just so much fun. The spirits sing as the song crashes down, "We know where you sleep." That ultimately, the person will never escape their fate. Their demons collect and spin around them, that even in death they will find him, and he will experience the torment he inflicted on others. Fun! In the early metalcore days, the genre was more post-metal than it sounds now. Modern metalcore is so tight-knit and polished, it's kind of jarring to listen to. Metalcore from The Fall of Troy, Converge, and especially Motionless and White. I was introduced to them by a metalhead friend in 10th grade, or 11th grade, I don't remember. I was very distant to heavy metal because, 1, there was a neo-Nazi moral panic in black metal, and 2, I was a good boy who ate all my peas. I mostly avoided metal besides what my friend introduced me to, like Lorna Shore, and what my brother showed me, like Bring Me the Horizon and Slipknot. System of a Down and Tool were my only exceptions, the latter because my mom mixed up a Tool song for a System song, and System because they were one of the first bands I ever knew about. Anyway, he told me that the band were original like Bring Me the Horizon and closer to deathcore and math grind, before they had to switch up with their singer. If I recall this right, he said with the singer of Ghost. He told me that both bands got better afterwards, and I can't corroborate for Ghost. Their music always sounded very cheesy to me, and I barely even know their older material. For Motionless and White, I knew this context going in, along with the fairly brutal debate between whether their older stuff was better. Honestly, I like both, but for extremely different reasons. I respect the older material for being so experimental and technical, while I enjoy their later music because of how fun and goofy it is. But don't be confused, these are two completely different bands at this rate. I don't have that much of a stronger preference either. I like that their older material sounds like The Fall of Troy, while their newer material is like AFI. The shift happened with Reincarnation, which, it does have Dead as Fuck, which I adore, but honestly I've never been that into Motionless and White. And I bring this all up because Undead Ahead, the original, is from their older days. It's from the emo, crunkcore, hardcore era, and while this is a great song, absolutely, it's more poetic and theatrical. And there's another problem on my end here, which is that Disguise, their 2018 release, was one of the first new albums I've ever listened to, possibly the first in 2018 when I started album surfing. I was there for the singles they came out, Disguise, Brand New Numb, Another Life, and finally Undead Ahead 2. And because of that, I am extremely biased because it's one of my favorite albums ever. I was just entering my emo contrarian phase then, so I ate this shit up. And to be fair, Disguise isn't a completely soft and goofy album like their 2022 release. Thoughts and Prayers is a pretty harsh and biting track mocking the thoughts and prayers motif that went around after a mass tragedy. And that said, it also has this song. Undead Ahead 2, Tale of the Midnight Ride, is a song about the mysterious rider. The harsh strings, lots of these spooky songs have strings I've since learned, over wobbly instrumentals to greet that Hallows Eve, while a headless horseman, they wear a pumpkin, over their skeletal horse as they ride on. This song doesn't have the same heaviness as older Motionless and White songs, but it is closer to one of the heaviest tracks on Disguise. Honestly, I love the harmonies from the singer in the chorus because they howl it like a Halloween chorus should be sung. Like the Wild Hunt as this wide sermon, an omen to the beast which rides indefinitely, a horrible wind singing in the night. The imagery in the bridge about the woods, the ghosts which roam it. By chance, can this be connected to the Wild Hunt? The line is mostly about damnation too, so it seems the headless horseman chases those with baggage, a grim reaper perhaps. I also love that in the final verse, the trope, close your eyes, kiss your dearest Katrina goodbye. That the song ends up being about disappearing to the headless horseman, invoking that trope of lost love because of sins catching up to you, because this reaper is coming and all they can do is take it on. The original song, it's good, I like it. However, I love the theatrics of the single. The emo side adds this stupidly poetic bow tie to the whole thing. I think what gets me the most is how creative it is. I kinda get icky when someone implies that most songs are only about a few things. They aren't wrong, but when I hear shit like this, I adore it. The pumpkin-headed, skeleton horse rider, grim reaper of love chasing you down is such a metal fucking image. The original is horror, but this one is fun. It's a song about being pursued by a phantom of the night, inhuman and eldritch, being unable to get it away as it hunts you down. It's Halloween. Ooh, it appears that faithful date draws ever nearer. Soon the children of will come out. Serious, will come up out of the ground. All the non-white people will help end the world or something. Boo. My mom read Shadow of Innsmouth years ago, and she straight up told me it was dog shit. So, boo.